And there's the official start of the Garden Doctor here on WBEV, doing three things at once here. We welcome in Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph on Daily Dodge TV as well. Good morning, Dick.
Good morning, John.
How are you doing on this
I'm
fine,
doing fine.
warm,
A little
sunny
cloudy
day?
outside, but we've had a few sunny days and snow and a little bit of everything, and we're hoping that the snow goes away now and the sunny days start to come so that we can start getting out in the garden and doing things.
Is it late enough in the year to say we're behind schedule or ahead of schedule?
Last year at this time we were almost close to done to getting our back orders out, and this year we're holding back because a lot of the plants are forced in the greenhouse, and so you can't plant them out yet. And so, yeah, I would say we're probably a week and a half to 2 weeks behind where we were last year. Of course, last year was real early, so I don't know. I think this is an early spring versus a late spring, and something in the middle is next year, hopefully.
All right, by the way, 885-4446 is the number to call. And we do have a caller checking in, so let's go to the phones. You are on the Garden Doctor with Dick Zondag.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am just wondering, how early is too early to plant carrots?
It's getting close to that time.
Okay.
You know, there are a few things that you can plant out that will come up even in cool soil, and carrots and beets and let's see, and spinach, I think, are three of the vegetables that you can start to think about now.
Okay.
Hopefully we're not going to get any more snow. I guess they said rain tonight and tomorrow, so that will help get the seeds germinated. But if potatoes should have been planted on Good Friday, I'm sure they would be shivering in the ground right now.
Right.
So
you
you really get you get itchy to get out there and get the stuff in, but that cold soil, it takes a little while for those seeds to plump up and start to germinate.
Okay, so maybe Mother's Day?
Yeah, I would say another week. If we
Okay.
get some warm weather, you could start thinking about planting some of those cool germinating seeds.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for your call. I want to mention 885-4446 is the number to call to get on the air with the Good Doctor here on WBEV and also streaming live on Daily Dodge TV. Give us a call, 885-4446. Both lines are open, and call early because a lot of times we have a glut of calls at the very end of the show, and then we can't get to your particular call. Didn't have a chance, Dick. What's happening besides a late start over at the store?
We still have a good selection of bare root in the bare root area, and you can plant bare root now because the roots will be going below the soil. The soil is warm enough to keep the roots from freezing. We also have the potatoes and the onions and things. And today I brought along some of for the people that are watching on the internet, I brought some of the plants that have different colors than green. A lot of the perennials now have been bred really, really much so that you get different colors. And so some of the sedums have variegation. Brought a couple of grasses that have blue color. One is called Mr. Whiskers or Blue Whiskers. And then the coral bells, of course, have been really changed a lot. And so you've got some that are almost black purple that really are beautiful and have pink and light pink and dark pink flowers. And, of course, hostas there are chartreuse to green to variegated, small ones to big ones. And then I also brought some of the hen and chicks, the sempervirens. They've got one here that's almost red and one that's yellow. And then, of course, the pinks and things like that have not only different colors, but the foliage when the flowers are done is sort of a bluish color, and they stay quite low, and so it gives you a nice variation. And so if you want to have some things that look nice in your garden other than the flower part of it, there are plenty of perennials that you can get color variations that are very, very nice.
All right, we do have callers standing by here, so let's go to the phones. You are on the air with the garden doctor, Dick Zondag of Jung Garden Center. Go
that
ahead.
me?
Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I have a couple of blue spruces that are really, really tall. They're probably about as tall as they could get. And, of course, they don't do good in Wisconsin, so the bottom part has always been kind of dead. But this year, I have so many pine cones that fell down, and there's still some up there, and it made me wonder that I haven't really seen a pine cone on the ground for years and years. So what's going on with that? Do they just, like, kind of every so many years get a lot of pine cones, or is it probably the weather, I'm thinking?
Well, there's a couple of things that can cause that. First, with the branches that die, spruce actually shade themselves out, and so as the tree goes taller, the bottom branches will lose all their foliage. It's because they're not shade tolerant, so they kind of shade each other out. And so the best thing to do is to just cut those off, and the tree will cover those wounds. The pine cones or the spruce cones that you're getting off of them, it's a sign that that tree is under stress. So when a tree or any plant is under stress, it goes into its adult flowering status. And you don't think of pine cones as a flower, but actually that's the spruce's flower. That's how they reproduce. And so they produce a heavy set of pollen in the spring, and then the pine cone or the spruce cones come in the fall. And so when they're under stress, they tend to do that more. And so that tree probably, because it's tall, and we have had some hot, dry weather last summer, probably set a lot more cones than it normally does. But spruces do set cones, and they should produce them annually, but if they're under stress, they'll produce more.
Oh, under stress.
So, I guess what I would do
probably?
is, if you want to keep the tree, around where the water would fall off the tree, if it's an umbrella, that's called the drip line of the tree, get some fertilizer, either some tree spikes, or if you're fertilizing your lawn, just put a little more fertilizer there and water it in, and that will make the tree much healthier.
Yeah. I actually thought they were like pretty much dead, and I hadn't really looked up for I don't know how long, and like the top part's looking pretty good now.
Yeah. Well, the top will always look good because that's in the sun, but then as the branches get lower on the tree, the top branches shade out the lower branches.
It's too bad they don't do better in Wisconsin, but I know they're not a real great Wisconsin tree.
Well, they are hardy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that those lower branches do shade out, and I had some in the front yard of my old house that have come down now, but they were probably 50 or 60 feet high, and
right.
So they're
so what stress is about, though? I mean, I know why I am stressed out, but is it like, is that like
well,
weather-related?
it's if we get a dry summer or a very hot summer, that puts the tree under stress, and then once a tree...
Yeah, you said that before. Well, the way our weather's been past few years, I can't remember what it was like last summer. Well, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Right.
Thank you for your call. 885-4446, the number to call to get on with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air with the garden doctor.
Hello?
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, we received a flower basket from the florist that had tulips and hibiscus and dahlias, not dahlias, daffodils.
Daffodils, yep.
Is there any way you can plant that later on?
Yes. You have to wait until the danger of frost is gone, but the tulips and daffodils, you want to plant them at about the same depth that they were in the pot. You have to take them out of the pot, of course. And you probably won't get flowers on them the first year because they have to replenish the carbohydrates that are in the bulb. But if you plant them out and you can get them to grow, they may flower for you in a year or two.
Okay.
The hibiscus, it depends on whether it's a hardy hibiscus. It's probably not. It's probably a tropical hibiscus and one that's meant for a houseplant.
Okay. They're kind of getting wilted and dying off now, so I just let them alone.
Yeah, when the danger of frost, probably mid-May, you can take them out of the pots and put them in the ground so that they get some sunlight, because the sunlight is what creates the sugars that go into the bulb that help set the bulb in the fall for flowering the next spring.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Thank you. And we go to the other line and say, good morning. You're on the air with Dick Zondag.
Do you have a plant that's called a popcorn plant or seeds?
Well, we have popcorn seeds, but
No, it's a plant where you rub its leaves and it smells like popcorn.
I'm not familiar with that. You know what? Take a picture of it. Okay?
Well, I don't have one right now. It's not a perennial. It's annual.
Yeah. You know, there are a lot of common names for plants. If I had a picture of one and you could email it to me at dick@jungseed.com, I could probably identify it for you, but I'm not familiar with that plant.
It gets real tall and then it has yellow flowers on top.
Well, if you see one, take a picture and send it to me,
Okay.
and
thank
I'll
you.
try to identify it for you, and then I can tell you whether we have it or not.
All right.
Okay?
Bye.
Thank you for your call. 885-444-6192. 885-444-6 to get you on the air with the Garden Doctor. And let's go back to the phones. You are on the show.
Hi, I bought some garlic from you this last fall, and I have
Okay.
it planted. And I just wondered, what's the next step, going forward? Is it July? I think it's around July. I think is when you can pick it. Is that correct? Or
What you want to do with garlic is fertilize it now.
okay,
Fertilize it now so that the tops grow. The tops should be pushing out of the ground right now. Keep the plants pretty much free of weeds. And then when the tops start to die back, it's usually, I would say probably late August, early September that the leaves start to die back. And then what you do is you dig a couple of them up, and if they've got bulbs underneath them, then you can use them. If it's just like a big clove, leave them in the ground for another year, and the next year they'll be ready to go.
okay, sounds good.
Okay?
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let's go to the other line. Good morning. You are on the air with Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Hey, I heard you a couple maybe last week that it's time for the dormant oils on apple trees and so on. But you also said dormant oil with sulfur and lime. Do you have a product pre-mixed, or do I got to mix my own?
I'm not sure if we have lime sulfur spray anymore or not. Seems to me that was one of them that was taken away. But if you drop me an email, I will check and see once if we've got it. But
Yeah, I looked in the catalog. I didn't see
it's
anything.
not in the it might be in the garden center though.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and if we don't have it, the emulsifiable oil, the dormant oil, is what you should be using.
Right. But can I mix like the wettable sulfur stuff?
Yes, you can.
And what about the lime?
Yeah, the lime is going to be hard to get into solution. So I guess if you can get the sulfur into solution, that would help too, because
Okay.
that'll take care of the fungal spores.
Right. It's more of a fungicide.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your call. You're listening to the Garden Doctor here on 1430 WBEV and on Daily Dodge TV. Let's go to the other line, and you're on the air with Dick Zondag.
And good morning. I have a question about some ash trees in our front yard. They're very big, very old. And what I noticed this year when we were having our Easter egg hunt, there are a lot of small bark chips that have fallen from the tree or exfoliated. Didn't notice them any other year. They're surrounding the tree. It's like they shed the small. They're about 2 to 3 inches
Right.
of bark chips all around the trees, and I've never seen this before on the trees. Is it something that they contracted, or is this some type of a disease?
No, it's natural actually. As the bark, as the new bark grows underneath that old bark, it pushes the old bark off. With the ash trees, though, you've got to, I don't know, have you treated for the emerald ash borer?
No, I've talked about it,
Yeah.
and I've had some suggestions, but they're so big around, and they charge by the inch in circumference.
Right.
Like $400 a tree, and we have about like about 6 trees. Gets into a price range that.
Yeah, well, we do have the chemical that they use for treating ash trees in the garden center, and it's not that hard to treat them, but you've got to do it almost immediately because you do it in the spring or in the fall, and the product is called imidacopa, and it's a chemical that you have to figure out how many inches in diameter the thing is, and it tells you right on the bottle how much you need to put in the water per inch of diameter, and then what you do is you just put it on the ground right where the roots meet the trunk of the tree, and if you just treat them with that will help.
Well,
It's
I'll
called
be
tree and shrub
definitely-
spray. If you ask them in the garden center, they'll show you right where it is.
Okay,
The chemical
well, I
is called
appreciate-
imidacopa, and you can do that
Imidacopa.
yourself.
Well, I'll definitely be making a trip to the garden center.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
It's not inexpensive, the chemical itself, but it's a lot less expensive than getting somebody to do it for you.
Well, I definitely will be taking your advice and making a trip. I appreciate your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you. What is that name again?
It's called imidacopa, and
Okay.
the name of the product is tree and shrub spray.
Okay.
And if you can't identify it, one of the people in the garden center can show you right where it is.
Okay. Let's go to the other line. You are on the air with the Garden Doctor on WBEV and Daily Dodge TV.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have something I need to know about. In the fall, my granddaughter bought a knockout rose bush,
Okay.
and she didn't get the plant. I didn't know that. She stuck it under the pine trees and covered it. Well, it looks dead. Is there anything I can do with it?
I would imagine that it is dead because even though you cover it with something, the roots are above ground and they freeze hard, and the way you tell whether it's alive or not is you scratch the bark, and if it's green underneath, it might still come. If it's brown and dried up,
Right.
it's dead.
I said she should have dug a hole and put the pot in.
Yeah, well, you could have
And
taken
left
it right
and
out
then
of the
covered
pot
it.
too.
Well, okay, we learned a lesson, I guess.
Yep.
Thank you so
Sorry
much.
about that.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to the other line. You're on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center.
Good morning. I'm wondering if it's time to uncover the strawberries.
I haven't uncovered mine yet.
haven't?
This year has been a real challenge to figure out when to do that. I think what you should do is watch for when the strawberries start to push the mulch up, and get it off then, because you want the leaves to start taking in the sunlight. The reason that you want to leave the mulch on a little bit longer than you would normally do it is that it holds the plant back from flowering and fruiting, because if you take the mulch off too soon and the plant starts to grow and flowers early, there's a good chance this year with the late cold weather that we've had that the flowers will get nipped by the frost. So I haven't taken mine off yet. I probably will be doing it in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your phone call. 885-4446 is the number to call to get on the air with Garden Doctor. Hello, you're on the program. Go right ahead.
Hi. I have some hyacinths and tulips that are all in blossom. Can I set them? They're in pots. Can I set them out now or wait?
No, you should wait because they've been forced in a greenhouse, and if we get below freezing weather, it will kill the foliage. The ones that are coming
and I
out.
got mulch to put down. Do I put that down before I plant the flowers or after?
I would say probably either way. I like to put the mulch down first because then I can dig through it and put the bulbs in and then pull the mulch back around it. But if you put the bulbs in first and then mulch it, it's not going to hurt it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you for your call, 885-4446. While we got a second, I promised my stepson I would take some notes on your comments about the best way to grow pumpkins, because we want to get a pumpkin patch going. What are some guidelines?
If you want to get them started a little bit early, you can use peat pots. You have to use peat pots because you have to, the container that they're growing in has to be able to go in the ground. But with pumpkins, what I would do is probably dust them with Captan because the microorganisms in the soil will then stay away from those seeds as they're germinating. Wait until the soil is a little warmer. I mean, you can't plant pumpkin seeds now. They won't even come up. I would say probably the last week in May, the first week in June, once we get some really nice warm weather.
Okay.
And then you put 3 or 4 seeds every 2 feet, and up they come. And if you want really big pumpkins, what you want to do is leave the first 4 flowers on, but then take flowers off after that. And that way the vine will throw all its energy into the 2 or 3 pumpkins that are on there. And then another thing that you can do this is with any vine crops, put a shovel full of soil over the vines probably every 2 or 3 feet. And the reason you do that is that wherever a leaf comes out of the vine, it has a tendril on it, and that tendril will differentiate into another root system if it's covered with soil. And that way, if you get the vine borer in, it won't kill the whole plant. It'll just kill between the 2 root systems. But that'll give you some really nice pumpkins. And if you're looking for unusual pumpkins, I mean, we've got 2 pages of pumpkins in the catalog. And, they can be planted anytime, probably up until the first week in June, and you'll still have really nice pumpkins.
All right. Some good tips. And now I have something to tell my stepson. All right, Nick, let's go back to the phones. 885-4446. Good morning. You're on the Garden Doctor.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, I have raised beds.
Okay.
And this year, once again, I'm having problems with gophers. I've live trapped and relocated 4 of them last year. But it looks like they're back again this year. Any advice for me?
Well, there are gopher things that will kill gophers, you know. But live traps is probably, if you want to be humane about it, I guess that's about the only thing you can do. There are some repellents that you can spray around that will kind of chase them away, but they keep coming back. I mean, it's a real. You know, we've got a woodchuck outside of our house that keeps coming back year after year, and we trap it and take it out into one of the marshes and let it go. But I don't know if it's the same one, but the rodents are real problems, and there are repellents that you can use, or live traps, or you can take them out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I've tried the taking out process. I've tried the other inhumane process as well, but that didn't seem to do anything. They seem to outsmart that. So
yeah.
I'll continue live trapping and see if I have any luck with that. Then.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for your call. We've got a couple of minutes here if you want to get on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph. 885-4446. One quick thing back to pumpkins, and then I'll shut up about it. That first step in peat pots. Do you start the seed in a pot or filled with peat?
You put potting soil in the peat pots. They're made out of peat moss, you know, so that they degrade when they go in the ground.
Okay.
And a 3-inch peat pot, you start that about the 1st of May. And the vine should be about 3 to 4 inches long when you plant it, and that way you don't get any damage when you're planting them.
Okay.
Because if you damage the roots of a vine crop, they kind of sit still for a couple weeks before they start to grow. So you've got to be really careful.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air with the garden doctor.
Yes, I have a question for Dick. We had to remove a bunch of trees. They were the ash trees that had to be cut down.
Right.
And then we had the stumps all ground out. And there's some big piles here of sawdusty dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Can we use that to plant the new grass?
Yeah, you can use it as mulch.
Okay.
I mean, I probably would put a little extra fertilizer with it because that wood has to be decomposed, and the microorganisms in the soil will attack it and will take the nutrients that the grass should have. But yeah, you can use that as a mulch. I would put probably an inch or so on top of the, if you put soil back in, put the grass seed on, rake it into the soil, pack the soil, and then use that wood chip mulch to kind of keep the seed from drying out.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
All right, 885-4446. We have time for at least one more caller here on the show. Again, we are live on Wednesday mornings, and you can hear the taped rebroadcast on Saturday mornings just after 10 o'clock. 885-4446, our number to call. And Dick, while we got a moment, what else is happening at the store?
Well, we're ready for spring. We're starting to put the things together outside. We haven't brought out the potted shrubs yet, although we've taken some to the stores in Sun Prairie and Madison South and Madison North, but it won't be long and the potted trees and shrubs will be out. We have a really good selection of everything there. We still have the bare root available. If you get there, I actually prefer the bare root because when you plant that, it's growing in the soil that you have. It's the native soil. Where when you're planting a potted shrub, you have to make sure that if the pot is very root bound, if there's a lot of roots along the outside of the pot, what you got to do is take a razor blade or a carpet knife or something like that and cut into that root ball around probably on four different sides. That way it encourages the roots to go out into the native soil where, that soil is very rich. We put quite a bit of fertilizer into that soil, and the roots tend to stay around that area. And if they grow around too much, they can actually girdle the tree. So you want to get those roots growing out into the native soil. And you do that by disrupting the outside of the pot. Of course, we've got all kinds of bulbs left, glads and begonias and dahlias. And, of course, the seed wall is untouchable by anybody in the state of Wisconsin. Because we have the catalog, we have, hundreds of varieties of seeds. So, if you've got a specific one that you want, we probably have it. So, and the other thing that we have is we have good people in a store that can talk gardening and can show you what things should be used for what conditions. And so you don't have to have the garden doctor waiting on you. We have good people there. So, come on in. We talked about the pesticides. We actually have a lot more pesticides in the garden center than we do in the catalog, because when you put something in the catalog, we measure that by the square inch, and it has to be something that sells enough volume to warrant going in the catalog, because that catalog costs us about $280 a square inch to put in the mail. So, you got to be products that move. So.
Well, Dick, we've got how many stores now? How's that one in Appleton doing?
The Appleton store is doing fine. It's on West Hill Boulevard, right across from Sam's, and we seem to have a lot of customers up there. So far, it's been fairly good.
All right.
The other stores are in Sun Prairie, right on 151 as you're coming into Sun Prairie, the very first exit. Then we have one on Madison South on PD. You get off on PD, and we're right there on Nesbitt Road, and then one on 114 as you're going out of Madison, right next to Warner Park. And then Stevens Point, it's always been doing well. Was my dad's pet project. So.
Okay. All right, Dick. Well, as always, thank you very much for lending your expertise. And quick, the hours at the Randolph store?
The Randolph stores are 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 on Saturday, and of course, we're not open on Sunday in Randolph.
All right. We'll see you next week, Dick.
Thank you, John.
And that is the show for today.
The preceding episode of The Garden Doctor